mandapas and pillar temples of Hindu gods and goddesses. And so, what is the main intention behind going after this cave architecture? Because they are actually made for Buddhist people. So they're going to have viharas over there, and the chaityas we're going to have, and as well as some mandapas are there where they can actually rest, and some pillars of from some pillar temples of Hindu gods and goddesses. So this is actually what we're going to find when it comes to cave architecture. So in this slide, what we're going to discuss and what we actually discussed is that, so one of the main architecture level that we actually entered into our architectural level is the cave architecture that is actually found mainly when archaeologists are actually excavating, and these people actually found 1,000 caves which were actually sculpted like this. So when they were actually excavating, and they came to know that, so these caves were actually sculpted, if I'm not mistaken, at 10th century, in 10th century, if I'm not mistaken. And later, the best examples for a cave architecture that we can experience now is here Ajanta and as well as Ellora caves, which are located in Maharashtra, and as well as Udayagiri caves in Odisha. And Udayagiri caves also very popular for this cave architecture. So as soon as you enter into these caves, you're going to witness a beautiful architecture. The way they actually sculpted the pictures, and some pictures are actually out of your imagination. So such a beautiful way they are actually made. And next one is here. And what else you're going to find in this cave architecture? So this cave architecture actually talks about the Buddhist viharas and the chaityas and as well as mandapas. And they are the people who actually love to take they're going to have kind of relaxations, and they're going to have some kind of discussion rooms. So those people actually made like that. So this is what we're going to most of the times this is what we're going to find when it comes to cave architecture. And not only that, not only for Buddhists, and also we're going to find some Hindu temples which are exclusively for their god and goddesses. They're actually built. So this is what actually cave architecture standing about. So in the exam, they may ask you to write, what is cave architecture? These are the 4 points that you have to cover. The first one is here. Um, the development of cave architecture is another unique feature and marks an important phase in the history of Indian architecture. And the second point that you're going to write is here. So when the archaeologists excavating, they found 1,000 caves nearly, and these caves were actually sculpted in the year in the 10th century. And most of them, so famous among these cave architecture are these what do you call these caves, Ajanta and as well as Ellora caves, which are located in Maharashtra. And the second one is here Udayagiri caves, which are located in Odisha. And followed by, so most of these caves, what we're going to find in them are Buddhist viharas, chaityas, and as well as some mandapas. So these are the things that we going to find most of the time, in most of the caves. And also some of them are the temples of Hindu gods and goddesses. These are the things that we actually can find when it comes to the cave architecture. And next, moving on to the rock cut temples, and see here, you are experiencing. So this is a single rock. The title itself is suggesting you. And here also, this is under a cave. So this is how they actually sculpted. And the same like even the rock cut temples are actually sculpted like this. This is a single stone. So the entire thing that you are seeing here is a single stone. So with this single stone, they actually hewn it, and later they turn those stones like this, those rocks like this. See here, the earliest rock cut temples were built in the Western Deccan in the early years of the Christian era. So in our Indian architecture, in our Indian history, we have a Christian era. So during that time, these rock cut temples came into existence. The Chaitya at the Karli caves with the fine high halls and a polished decorative wall is a remarkable example of rock cut architecture. So if you wanted to experience these rock cut architecture, we have to go to these call caves, where you're going to find the fine high halls and a polished decorative wall. So it's actually standing as a symbolic of as a symbol of around these rock cut temples. So Chaityas and also Chaitya, that wall is actually called as Chaitya at the Kal caves. And next one, the Kailash temple at Ellora, built by the Rashtrakutas, and Ratha temples of the Mahabalipuram, built by the Pallavas, are other examples of the rock cut temples. What you are seeing, the picture is here, the Ellora. This is how the Ellora temple looks like, and this is actually built by the Rashtrakutas. So this is the Kailash temple, and this is actually built by Rashtrakutas, and the Ratha temples are also built by this no, by these Pallavas at Mahabalipuram. So those are actually standing for the example of rock cut temples. And let's see, rock cut temples are actually talks about they actually came into existence no, during the early years of Christian era. And what actually the best example that we can give for these rock cut temples is the Chaitya at the Kali caves with the fine high halls and polished decorative walls, which are actually standing the best of rock cut architecture. And secondly, you can see the Kailash temple at Ellora, which actually built by Rashtrakutas, and Pallavas also built some Ratha temples at Mahabalipuram. So these are actually standing as an example, as a symbol of rock cut temples. Next, see these freestanding temples. The temple building activities that began during the Gupta rule continued to flourish in the later period. So I guess before we discussing the point called the topic called what is that, the cave architecture, and we have experience. We spoke about Gupta. So these freestanding temples were actually given much priority even after Gupta no, generations. And next, in southern India, the Pallavas, Cholas, Pandyan, Hoysalas, and later the rulers of Vijayanagara kingdom were great builders of temples. And even so, just now we have seen this after Guptas, and this freestanding temples construction or the architecture flourished in later periods. After these Guptas, we can experience. We have seen the kingdoms of we can see the administration of these Pallavas, Cholas, Pandyans, Hoysalas. These are the people who actually ruled our India, and mostly Vijayanagara kingdom. So they actually gave much priority in order to construct these freestanding temples in our India, especially in south. Next, the Pallava rulers built the Shore temple at Mahabalipuram and other structural temples like Kailashantar temple and the Vaikunta Perumal temples at Kanchipuram. So Pallavas played an important role in constructing of these freestanding temples after Guptas. So what they actually built is that they built the Shore temple at Mahabalipuram and Kailasnathar temple and Vaikunta Perumal temples at Kanchipuram. These are actually standing the best examples of Pallavas no freestanding temples. Next, the Cholas built many temples, the most famous being the Brihadeshwara temple at Tanjavur. So Cholas also took a part in building the temples, and what they actually built, they built a Brihadeshwara temple at Tanjavur. So these are the temples which are actually built. The Shore temple and as well as Kailasnathar and Vaikunta Perumal temples were actually built by the Pallavas. And when it comes to the Cholas, actually built a temple called Brihadeshwara at Tanjavur. And when these people are actually going after who these Cholas, Pallavas, Hoylas, and Pandyans and Vijayanagara kingdom, they actually gave a new look, a new style. They actually followed a new style. So two styles actually came into existence. One is Dravida style, and another one is Nagara style. So we're going to see what are those Dravida styles and Nagara styles. And I also developed a typical style of temple architecture of South India called Dravida style, complete with Vimana or Shikara, high walls, and the gateway topped by a Gopuram. And you are seeing here, you are seeing the things what we actually just now discussed. If you are happen to see any temple just like this, you try to remember this is actually followed, and the architecture that they followed is a Dravida style. So what is the specialty? What are the features of this Dravida style? They have a Vimana or Shikara. See here, we can see this is just like aeroplane. Aeroplane. It is actually in the aeroplane shape. Even if you see an airplane, this is how it actually seems to be. And high walls, you can see the walls are high, and the gateway is actually topped over here. So this is by a Gopram, and even we have a Gopram over here. So if you are happen to see any temple just like this, remember that they have followed Dravida style. And next, here you are seeing Nagara style. Let's see. Magnificent temples were built at Balur and Halibidu, where the stone engravings reached even greater heights. And for stone engravings, if you wanted to see the stone engravings, you can experience when it comes to Balur and Halibidu. And next, in northern and eastern India, magnificent temples were constructed as well as what is now referred to the Nagara style. And we're going to have this type of temples in our south and eastern India, northern and eastern India. So let's see the speciality of this Nagara style is most of them consisted of the Shikara. Shikara is nothing but here the spiral roof. This is how it is going to be. But even this has Shikara. This is the Shikara, but it doesn't have any spiral roof. But here you're going to have the spiral roof. That is the style of Nagara style. And the Garbhagriha, and you're going to have a sanctuary inside of that. But whereas here you're not going to have any sanctuary. And next, and the mandap pillared hall, and you're going to have a mandap where we can actually celebrate some sermons and all. So this is the speciality of Nagara style. And when it comes to Dravida style, they have Vimana. They're going to be in the shape of Vimana, and at the end they're going to have a Shikara, and followed by the gateways are topped by a Gopuram. So this is what you're going to have when it comes to Dravida style. And this one is exclusively called Nagara style. So where you're going to have the spiral roof, and followed by a Garbhagriha is going to be there, which is nothing but the sanctuary, and followed by you can experience a mandap or pillared hall. If you go to some temples, you're going to have big mandapas you're going to have, where they can actually rest, they can eat food, and what do you say? They actually celebrate some kind of sermons, or some functions will be taking place over there. And this is how we can actually identify the difference between Dravida and as well as Nagara style. And see here, Odisha has some of the most beautiful temples, such as Lingaraja temple, which built by the Somavamsi kings, with additions by the Ganga rulers, the Mukuteshwara temple in Bhubaneswar, and the Jagannatha temple in Puri also instances exemplary temple art. So here, this is actually the Lingaraja temple, which is actually built by Somavamsi kings, and followed by the Ganga rulers, who actually built this Mukuteshwara temple at Bhubaneswar. And this is the Puri Jagannath temple, which is located in Puri. And if I'm not mistaken, some of you might be into this place. And next, the Sun temple in Konark was built in 13th century by the Eastern Ganga rulers. So Ganga rulers they also built this Mukuteshwara temple, and also they built this. This is the one, the Sun temple. This is the Sun temple, which is actually built by the ruler, Ganga ruler Narasimhadeva I. He is the person who actually built this Sun temple, and this temple is dedicated to Surya, the sun god. So our Indians actually do worship even our stars, unique stars. They even worship sun, and the other star, what you call the moon. So these people actually our Indians actually even serve the sun and as well as moon. So this temple is exclusively dedicated to the sun god, and has been designed as a 12-wheeled chariot. So around this temple, you're going to find these 12 wheels. So this side you're going to find 6 wheels, and the other side you're going to find the other 6 wheels. This is how it is actually built. This is also very popular when it comes to in Konark. This one actually built in the year in 13th century. So this is what actually some kind of architectures that we can see when they're constructing temples. So see here, we have four temples here. Four of them are having different style of architecture. The first one is here. You can see the Nagara style, and second one has the other style, and this one has another style, and this is also constructed in a different way. And see here, the people who actually ruled those days, so they gave much importance to the architecture and as well as the temple construction, and this is how it actually laid. Next one here, the temple at the temple complex at Khajuraho was built by the Chandala rulers between 10th and 11th centuries in the Bundelkhand region of Madhya Pradesh. Most important among them is the Kanriya Mahadeva temple, and this is what you can experience here, the Khajuraho. This is the Khajuraho temple, and which is actually built by our Chandala rulers. And next, this is the Kandriya Mahadevan temple, which is actually can be seen, which is actually can be seen along with this, what is that? Khajuraho temple. So this is Kandriya temple, which is located in Bundelkhand region. And next one, Mount Abu in Rajasthan is known for the Dilwara temples dedicated to Jain Tirthankars. These were built in pure white marbles and adorned with exquisite sculptures. These were built by Solanki rulers. Solanki rulers who actually ruled Rajasthan at that time. So at Mount Abu, so they constructed a temple, Dilwara temple, which is actually exclusively dedicated to these Jain Tirthankars. So it is exclusively dedicated to the Jain Tirthankars, and the speciality of this temple is they actually used pure white marble, and and they also we can experience they adorned this one with exquisite sculptures. So this is how they actually gave much importance when it comes to the temple building architecture. So the first one is here. You can see the Khajuraho temple. You can experience how this one is actually constructed here, and this is see how beautiful this one and architecture I'm talking about. And second one is here. See the second this temple is actually called Kandriya Mahadeva temple, and see the architecture. What kind of they actually give much importance to this what do you call the architecture. And one more the best example standing for the architecture is the Solanki rulers. What do you call that? Dilwara temples, which are located at Mount Abu in Rajasthan. And next, the last one, the Somnath temple in Gujarat and the Kashi Vishwanath temple in Varanasi, the Govinda Devji temple in Mathura, Kamakya temple in Guwahati, Shankaracharya temple in Kashmir, and the Kali temple in Kalighat in Kolkata are some other important temples which bear testimony to the temple building activities of Indian subcontinent. So these are some of the temples which are actually built in different places. The first one is here, Somnath temple in Gujarat. This is also standing for the best architecture, and also the Kashi Vishwanath temple in Varanasi. If I'm not mistaken, some of you might be into this Varanasi, and where you might have experienced the Kashi Vishwanath temple. It is also standing for the best architecture. And Govind Devji temple in Mathura. And if you go to Mathura, and you can experience Govind Devji temple's architecture, and the Kamakya temple's architecture in Guwahati. Yeah, even in Guwahati we have one of the famous temples, that is Kamakya temple, which is exclusively standing for its architecture. And next, Shankaracharya's temple in Kashmir. So even this Shankaracharya's temple in Kashmir is also one of the famous temples, which is standing for its unique architecture. And next, Kali temple in Kalighat, and it's very popular for everybody. And in Kolkata, it is actually located in Kolkata. And some too many temples are there which are actually standing for this temple building activities of the Indian subcontinent. So this is what is all about the lesson called Indian architecture. As this is what is all about ancient architecture in India. So when it comes to this one, you the people supposed to remember one thing. It has, in this lesson we can experience, or we witnessed, or we read some good vocabulary, if I'm not mistaken. And whatever the vocabulary that you underlined or taken out, make sure they are supposed to be used when it comes to writing and whenever you speak. But make sure they are supposed to be used contextually. Yeah. So write it. So if you still have any doubts, then just ask me in the next class. I'm going to clarify that. So with this, I'm concluding my talk. Thank you so much.